just a little bit. Alam content, Jésus aime moi. Alam content, Jésus aime moi. Alam content, Jésus aime moi. Gloire, alléluia, Jésus aime moi. Oh, alam content, Jésus aime moi. Alam content, Jésus aime moi. Alam content, Jésus aime moi. Gloire, alléluia, Jésus aime moi. Oh, ça pas fait moyen là. Ça pas fait moyen là. Ça pas fait moyen là. Gloire, nous donner gloire, nous pardonner, nous éclater. Gloire, alléluia, 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 gloire, alléluia. Jésus aime moi, tu es ma fille, bien vrai. C'est grâce pour Dieu à tout moi. C'est pas un fait, c'est garder moi. Tu es ma fille, bien vrai. C'est grâce pour Dieu à tout moi. C'est pas un fait, c'est garder moi. Qui t'aime loué, qui t'aime loué, et de m'exalter. Qui t'aime loué, tu es ma fille, bien vrai. C'est grâce pour Dieu, c'est pas un fait, c'est garder moi. Tu es ma fille, bien vrai. C'est grâce pour Dieu, c'est pas un fait, c'est garder moi. Qui t'aime loué, qui t'aime loué, et de m'exalter. Qui t'aime loué, oh alléluia,
Good evening, good evening, good evening, Charge Ministries family. Good evening. We are here for much important discussion. I just want to take this moment at this time just to welcome each and every one of you. Thank you so much for stopping by as we gather tonight to talk about a very important topic, which is what's going on in our country. So at this moment, I want to be able to give you a shout out. I'm your host, Evangelist Nolan Pierre. I want to see who's watching with us tonight, and I want to be able to give you a shout out. We are excited for this panel discussion. So in the comment section below, so let me know where you are watching from. Let me know where you are watching from so that we can go ahead and give you a shout out. I know that we have Atlanta in the virtual space with us. We have Maryland in the virtual space with us, and also we have Florida and New York is represented with us tonight. So go ahead in the comment section. Let us know where you are watching this from. Shout out. I see we got Northeastern, Franco-Haitian Youth Federation. So New York is in the virtual space. Shout out to New York, Atlanta. We got my brother Philemon. He's watching with us all the way from Orlando, ATL. So let us know where you are watching this from. We got Tampa. Okay. Samantha from Tampa. Thank you for stopping by. Come on. Let us know. And also, as you guys type in and sharing, let us know where you're watching this from. Also, share this link with at least 5 individuals. Share this link with at least 5 individuals. Let's see if we can go ahead and get these numbers up. Go ahead at this moment, share this link with at least 5 individuals. That way they may tune in to hear this discussion, this powerful discussion that will take place tonight. I see that we got Plantation of the virtual space with us. Praise be to God. Let's go ahead and get this number. Our YouTube, if you're on YouTube right now, hit that share button and go ahead and share that with at least 5. We're not asking for a lot, just at least 5 people in your contact. So go ahead and take your phone right now and share it with at least 5 individuals. I know you guys can do it. I truly believe that we can do it. Let's go ahead and take this moment to go ahead and get get the numbers up so that we can get more people to see this important discussion that will take place tonight. If you have just joined us, thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you so much for stopping by here as we get ready for this panel discussion. Thank you. We got the numbers. Let's continue to share it. Let's continue to share it. Even while we are in the discussion, you can still share it with somebody else. That way they may tune in to hear this important discussion on Haiti. Before we go ahead and move on, I want to get ahead and bring in our co-host. He is all the way from New York. He's been here before. He's part of Charge Ministry. We consider him family here. Let's go ahead and bring in my brother, Jonathan Kwaku.
Hey, what's going on, Charles family? How's everybody doing?
Man, we're doing good. We're doing good, man. Tell the people why they should share this, man. I know you're gonna be hosting. I know you got the questions ready. Tell the people why they should go ahead and share this link.
I mean, there's too many reasons, but I mean, to get straight to the point, I mean, this conversation is necessary. Tonight, you will be getting some insight to what's going on in Haiti and why these things are going on. We all love our country. I know all of you love your country, proud of your country, but often we turn on the news and we see there's some bad news and we see there's things that are not so positive going on with the country. And we've got to get to the roots, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes. To get deep. Pull the roots out to find out why is this going on. Listen, I know it's a lot of millennials and Gen Zers watching, and we were trained to question things, to say why, and many of us are saying, why is Haiti in this condition? But not just stopping there, but what do we do about it? And if this is you, if you want to know more, if you've got questions, if you're scratching your head, if you feel like you're frustrated and want to know what to do, this is the place to be tonight. That means you got to share everywhere.
This is the place to be. Our YouTube, go ahead, hit that share button. Facebook, hit that share button. Let's continue to let more people know as we gather, as we get ready for this important, much needed discussion on Haiti. So before we do that, we're not going to hold you for too long. If this is your first time on this platform, you can go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel and our Facebook, like our Facebook page. That way you can stay up to date with our current event and also the program that we will have coming up in the future. So go ahead and subscribe and like our Facebook page so that way you can stay up to date with our programs. So at this moment, Jonathan, we have a music special song, and then after that, we'll bring in the panelists.
All right, let's do it.
Lord, if I find favor in your sight, Lord, please heal my heart's cry. I'm desperately waiting to be where you are. I'll cross the hottest desert, I'll travel near or far for your glory. I will do anything just to see you, to behold you as my King. For your glory, I will do anything just to see you, to behold you as my King. And Lord, if I find favor in your sight, Lord, please. Gotta be where you are. I wanna be where you are. I gotta be where you are. I wanna be where you are. Gotta be where you are. Wanna be where. Be where you are. I wanna be where you are. Gotta be where you are. Wanna be where you are. Gotta be where you are. For your glory, I will do just to see you, to behold you as my King. for your glory, for your glory, Lord. I wanna be where you are, just to see you, to behold you as my King. Wanna be where you are. I wanna be where you are.
Hey, welcome. Weren't we blessed? Weren't we absolutely blessed by that song? Just a reminder to be where God is. And so we're just happy just to be here in this moment to fellowship virtually. We have brought our panelists, our illustrious panelists, onto the virtual stage, and we're going to give them a chance to briefly introduce themselves, who they are, and what capacity they may be serving, where they're coming from, and then we'll hop right on into this discussion. Let's start off with our dear sister, Edwin.
Hello, everyone. My name is Edwin Estime. I am from ATL. Whoop, whoop, whoop. All the way. Just really excited to be here. You guys made me feel like a family already because I already warned you guys. I'm so Americanizing this, but it's going to be an amazing discussion that I truly want to be a part of. So I'm excited.
Awesome. And Edwin, you serve in SACOP, is that correct?
Yes, South Atlantic Conference Haitian Adventist Youth Federation. So I am currently the president at this time. So it's exciting, so pray for me because we got a concert in August 14th. So wait for that.
Yes, will do, sister. Awesome. Let's go to our brother Joshua.
Hey, man, Jonathan, how you doing, man? And guys, like the rest of you guys, thank you, man. I'm excited to be here. I've loved Haiti ever since I was young, so this, for me, this discussion is sort of like a culmination of all the studying and discussions and talks I've ever done in my entire life. And so I'm just really honored to have been asked to be a part of this. I grew up in Jersey. Part of Allegheny East Conference, so I'm definitely representing the Duvernays who are like leading the Youth Federation up there, and I'm now down in Maryland, but definitely helping out as a lay pastor in the Haitian work in Allegheny East Conference. So glad to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. Glad you're here with us, brother. Our dear brother Lucas Sentil. Go ahead, brother.
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Lucas Sentil. I'm down here in Tampa, Florida. Yeah, Florida represent.
That's right.
I'm so excited to be part of this panel discussion. We're going to have a great time. I'm currently serving as the FEJA president, Fédération de la Jeunesse Adventiste Haïtienne. So I'm really excited to be here tonight.
Awesome. Happy you're here with us, brother. And last but not least, brother Ernst Jacques. Go ahead, brother.
All right. I think she said she's Americanized. But I'm gonna correct her a little bit. She's both, I believe, because the way she said her first name, Edwin Estime. I don't know if you heard that, Yeah, she's Americanized. She's Haitianized also.
Amen.
Yeah, and I'm more Haitianized now than Americanized, but that's okay. That's okay. I live in Michigan, but right now I'm in Florida because I just get a job at Miami Union Academy where I'll be teaching science and math. And what else? I'm just a servant. That's all. Yeah. And I'm glad to be here. And I started this program on YouTube. I have my own YouTube channel about the Haitian story. When Valerie told me about this program, I said, wow, I'm so excited to be a part of it.
That's right. I'm happy that you're here. You're excited that you're here with us too, Brother Ernst, and all of you. And so we've got a great panel. Those who are watching, obviously, we love Haiti, all of the panelists. We are Haitian Americans, but we're not experts, right? We are Haitian history is taking place every day. Hey, there are layers and layers. A lot of times when we look at history, we think Haiti's a little country with not much to it. Haiti has a complex, immense history. So we will try our best with God's help to make this as productive and beneficial for you as possible. But even we are learning daily more about Haiti, right? So it's a team effort. And we want to see you guys in the chat, in the comments. If you have questions, definitely share your questions, and we're going to get to those questions as well. All right, so we're going to start off with our first question. Our first question says this, and we'll start off with Edwin, and anybody can take it from there, and then we'll move on, okay? Question one says this: what was your immediate reaction and feelings when you received the news of Jovenel Moise's death, right? So, you know, what happened? What was your immediate reaction? How are you feeling, right? And that's just so we can provide some context to this discussion. Sister Edwin, what was your immediate reaction and feelings?
Okay, so I didn't give a little bit. I need to get maybe I need to get a little bit into detail on who I am and where I'm from. So of course I was born in New York, went to Philly, came to Atlanta. So I've been in America all my life. I've never been to Haiti. Sadly, I've always wanted to. Every time I've tried to, something happens. So anyway, just to show you like how different I am from the other reactions, I was hurt. I'm like, you're talking about it and I'm still hurt. Like my heart just sinks again. And I was hurt and embarrassed at the same time. That's how I felt. But what really hurt me the most was to see my parents. My father cried. The moment he heard the news, he just started tearing up. My mother was just so hurt. The first thing that came out of her mouth was, I have no more tears for Haiti. Because that's what she said around the house, because she felt like she had cried enough. And it hurts to hear that from those who were born and raised in it and everything. And it's just, it hurt a lot. And I don't want them to feel like they need to give up. But when you see so much going on, it hurts. And to hear that happen, it hurts. It still hurts. I'm just not gonna lie. It still hurts. It still hurts.
That's real. Go ahead. Anybody else want to share immediate reactions and feelings to the assassination?
I think I can add to what Sister Edwin or Pastor Edwin just said. I was hurt also, but also one thing that I felt, the best way I described it, and I did say it. I said, "Wow, we lost our human dignity again as a nation." When it happened there, I said, we lost our human dignity. We've been fighting for it. We almost get it, but we lost it again.
Yeah, it's actually very interesting. July 7th is my 2-year wedding anniversary. So I woke up that morning. It was like great day. And then rolled over to my phone and, of course, got the news early that morning that he was assassinated. And I was like, oh no. I was like, what a way to start my anniversary, because I'm Haitian. My wife, Haitian American. My wife is Haitian American as well. And of course, so Haiti culture is just a part of who we are as people, right? It's part of our identity. And I was like, what a way to start, our anniversary with this news. And I was like, man, I just felt bad. I was like, we're about to be in the news 24/7 for the next 2 weeks. Like, it's about to be crazy. I'm going to get conversations and people are going to say weird things to me about what's going on in your country, this and that. And it's just about to be crazy. I'm like, oh man, we're about to go through it for the next 2 weeks. And even now, it's been 3 weeks on, and CNN is still pulling things as they're still continuing the investigation, and I'm just like, this is crazy. I did not think that the country could have. I did not think it was going to happen. I'll be completely honest with you. I did not think it was going to happen. So this sort of blindsided me in the sense, it blindsided everybody. We'll get to it, but even the investigation report, it blindsided everybody. You yell a 3-letter, acronym, and all of a sudden everybody stops and people still don't know who ordered the hit, right? It's just, it's crazy.
I was shocked. I woke up that morning, getting ready to go to work, and then get to the car, then go to work. So normally when I, on my way to work, I put some praise, music. So I didn't really know until I get to work. So once I get to work, and that's when I find out, news start to come out that the president get assassinated. I was shocked. Now, in my case, I was raised and born in Haiti, so I'm very familiar with the current events that's going on in Haiti, and I know, the president have a lot of enemies, but I did not know that it would get to that point, because I know that's probably the least thing that, in this 21st century, that could have happened. And in fact, the last time, this happened in Haiti was 1915. So none of us were even born at that point. So, this is because I know I heard about the coup, I heard about different things. They could have done so many different things, but to get him dead, I mean, that was the least in my mind. So I was shocked. I was upset, because again, like Pastor Joshua you just mentioned. So here we go, we're in the news again, 24/7. And the last time that happened with me was during January 12th, during the earthquake. So, people, they sympathize with you. They asking you question, what's going on. So we were, again, at that same place where at work, your co-workers, they're going to ask you. My boss, one day he was on site. So he called me, we spent about an hour and a half talking outside, just talking in general about what's going on in Haiti. This is not a place that you want to be in. This is not a discussion that you want to have. But again, not just show you how our current country is, how our country is. So they need a lot of help, and that is why I think it's important to have these kind of discussion. That way, hopefully, these things don't happen again.
Definitely, all those responses were real, and I know those who are watching, you had your feelings as well. I see a comment from Philemon Jean-Baptiste. He says, after I heard about the president's death, I said to myself that there must be a revolution where the people will have to purge the evil out of Haiti once and for all. It's like, I think that it resonates and it aligns with your responses. It's like, have we gone lower than low? Is there any lower than we can go? Mm-hmm. Can we go any lower? I see Pastor Wide says disbelief. Couldn't believe that in my adult life I was living something I've read about in Haiti's history. Assassination. I agree, Pastor Wide. It didn't have to be the way history repeated itself with the Haitian government. But sadly it was, and it was heartbreaking. I was in Fort Lauderdale. Now I live in Brooklyn, and I remember I had gone to the Haitian national team. They played against Bermuda the night before to qualify for this North American soccer tournament called the Gold Cup. And so Haiti won 4-1. I lost my voice. I was screaming and yelling, and all of us had blue and red at our flags. And listen, like Broward County is like Haitian Central. Once I got into the airport in Fort Lauderdale, everybody there was Haitian. At the stadium, all the people working there were Haitian. The whole crowd was Haitian. I just felt this high being Haitian, top of the mountain. I was top of the mountain. Then I get a call from my wife in New York. I'm getting ready to fly back to New York that morning. She's like, you didn't hear what happened? I said, what happened? She said, they killed Jobnet. It's like I was paralyzed. I could not move. I said, I was on a high. Haiti, but Bermuda, got on. I had front row tickets. All I had was blue and red on me, and my flag with Haitians from all over Florida screaming and yelling. None of us had our voices after the game. I was on cloud 9 for Haiti the night before. And a few hours later, I had to wake up to that. I said, what in the world is going on? Mm-hmm. And it is a shock because this hasn't happened in more than 100 years. Mm-hmm. Like, even like you said with the coup d'etats, like there were people, for example, they were twice they removed Ali's seat, per se, right? Or even with like people had attempts on Duvaliers' life, but you know he had his security, right? But you had a couple other people where they had attempted this, but it's been more than 100 years. So we're like, I know Haitians were protests and do manifestations, but did we really do this? Shock, hurt, talking about going from cloud 9 to just hitting rock bottom. So then that leads us to our next question, all right? Those who are watching. I always tell people Haiti's issues are not necessarily in a vacuum. I always say Haiti's issues are not random. Haiti's issues are not just isolated incidents that take place, right? And then when you turn on the news, it's like, well, here's issues in Haiti again. Listen, Haitians don't wake up. The average Haitian doesn't wake up wanting to live in poverty. The average Haitian doesn't want to wake up dealing with all the issues and instability in the country. Can you guys help me out, or help our viewers understand what historical, what contextual information should they know about Haiti as we're jumping, even now we're going a little deeper in the conversation, right? What should they know contextually about why Haiti's in the state it is, right? Because you can't talk about this without talking about the context of why Haiti's in the way it is. So I want to throw that question now, and whoever's ready to take on that one, you can jump on that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll jump on that. You know, Haiti is, we are a, I mean, just point blank, we're a black country who got our independence because we were black, right? And we would not tolerate, you know, injustice, slavery, and being oppressed, you know, and that the time when it happened, 1804, right, or the 20 years leading up to it, sort of was pivotal. It was historical, you know. I mean, a black country in the New World, liberated, beating 3 world powers at different times, you know, while the great superpower, the United States, still had black people in chains, and the fact that we're unable to completely assimilate into the larger culture. We don't speak Spanish, we don't speak English, and we're predominantly black, right? So there are a number of things that like keep us where we are, but that also made us sort of like this focal point, right? This thing that made something they made us an extremely different and difficult place. They can't place us anywhere. They can't make sense of us. You know what I mean? We're not on the continent of Africa where they can just say Africa is damned, right? We're in the New World, and we did something that changed. On top of that, our forefathers had a vision, and they continued to liberate wherever they went, starting with our neighbor, you know, the Dominican Republic, and then moving all through Latin America and fighting in the Civil War in the United States. But our problems are more than just being, you know, this black country in the New World. Our problems are both internal. We've never been a cohesive unit. So you want to talk about why it's important to know why our struggles are deep. It's first, you've got to know who we are, what we did, and that our problems are both internal amongst ourselves and amongst those who are trying to impose their views on us.
And just to piggyback on it, again, from my view, I think for me, the reason why I'm having a hard time with this question is because being that I was, of course, born here in America, the thing is, I've learned a lot of my history from the church, from, you know, older people, from you know, parents. And then when I did do certain research, you know, you go, oh, okay, I learned something new here, and I'm learning something new here. And then you find out your mom is like debunking it and saying, no, that's not how it happened. Or you're finding out that, you know, no, this is not what happened. And so for me, I think my struggle has always been, what is the facts? Because you're always hearing something, and then you always have a debunked afterwards. Let's be honest. As a kid going to school and saying, yeah, we had a Haitian person, you know, who discovered Chicago, and they're like, what? And they're like, who? And when was this written? And it's just, and then you go back to your mom like, ma, you know, what was it true? And slowly you start to see the truth, you know, revealed, like even here. But it's been an issue for the Haitian Americans, because I feel like a lot of times facts and just different things are just not adding up, and it's like we're not internally understanding our history,
Mhm.
like completely the foundation. Sometimes I feel like there's still a big rift when it comes to us understanding our history, in order for us to pass it down to our next generation. So that's something for me personally that I have a struggle with, because I will go and say certain things and then they're like, no, that's not what happened. I remember I had a conversation with a family member and we're talking about the independence. And I was like, yeah, woohoo. And they're like, well, if you really think about it, and I'm not going to really say because I'm still bottled about the situation, but they were like, well, if you really think about it, did we really get it? And I was just like, what? So I lost my mind. I always tell people those who are the proudest Haitian people are the ones who were born here. Okay. So I lost it. Okay. And they were like, but let's go through the facts. And I'm going through the facts and they're going through the facts. And I get confused because I'm like, hold on. We got it. We got it this way. We fought. We did this. And they're like, yeah, but you got to understand the other elements. And so it just gets frustrated for me. So yeah, you guys can school me any day. But it's a beautiful thing. I'm still going to hold down to the fact that we did fight our independence and we have the spotlight on us. I totally agree with Mr. Joshua. And because of that, we have always been interesting to any part of the world. Oh, you're Haitian. Oh, you're from Haiti, or you're, descent. Okay, cool. And it's like they're always interested with that particular country. And so I'm proud of it, regardless. But we do need to know who we are and our foundation of our history.
Um, Now, I'll piggyback on the two of you guys as well, because again, the issues that we are facing, they're not just random. As Pastor Wise said, there's a reason for it, and part of it, as you guys mentioned, is the fact that Haiti was, the first black nation who gained its independence, and then they did not handle it to us. We actually had to fight for it and actually won. So that's send a signal to the entire world. Everyone knows that Haiti was the first black nation who gained its independence, but it did not come at a cheap price. We actually have to fight with our blood and with our resources. Now, think about, I always say this: what you see going on in Haiti is one thing, but there are a lot more people, powerful nation behind what you see, what you hear that's going on in Haiti. Think about the French. The French, we had to pay them even after we gained our independence. They did not recognize it until we pay a price for it. And at today's rate, that's over $100 billion. So because of all this, Haiti was behind of everything that you see going on. We are still behind over 100 years just because we had to fight for independence. So we had to pay with our money and we have to pay with our resources as well. And when you take a look, that Haiti was ranked as the world richest and most productive colony. So think about this: the French, the Americans, the Spanish, they were all after Haiti because there were a lot of, there was a lot in it for them. Now, the fact that we have to fight, so they lost a lot of money. A lot of their revenue was coming from Haiti. About 25% of the French GPD was coming from Haiti at the time. So that is why I said, what you see going on in Haiti, it's not random. So we still paying the price of our independence. Although that we paid what they asked, the 125 billion, I believe, that we had to pay for over 100 years. Although we finished with that debt, but we are still paying for it mentally. We are still paying for it because we cannot manage on our own, and not, let alone the internal, corruption and everything else going on. So what they do, they infiltrated, the political scene. So, and that is why you see anyone that you see in power in Haiti, any president, the American has to give their blessing on it. Why? We don't do that for the American, for the election here in the United States. We go out and vote if you are a U.S. citizen. That's about it. But it doesn't matter what you see happening in Haiti. If you see it happening, the American, they have their hands on it because there's something in it for them. So, and that is why it's very hard to even know where to start, because when you take a look at the corruption, the rights to health, water, food, the criminal justice in Haiti, all of those things. Think about how long Haiti has been helping Haiti, forever. And for a small country as Haiti to have the world's richest country helping you for that long and for no one to see a difference, we're coming from here, going down, going down, going down. Why is that? Because, I always believe that if Americans, they want to make a change in Haiti, it can happen overnight because they have the resources for it, they have the manpower for it, and not only this, they have the respect when you take a look at the other countries throughout the world. So I think it can happen, but because they do not want Haiti to succeed, and that is why we are in this situation. So it will take a lot. It will take the Haitian people to put themselves together, to pull themselves together and start another revolution.
And I think I'm going to add something else. Just to answer your questions, Edwin, we need to understand who we are.
Yeah.
And one thing I think we miss most of the times, the land does not belong to us. The land belongs to a group of people called Taino. The Taino were the Indians who established themselves in the land because they were not used to those hard work, and they just get died. They're decimated. And the French, the Spaniard, which we call the Spaniards at that time, they took them from the land because they died on the land. The French now, when they came over in 1512, they have to take people from Africa, slaves from Africa. When they come to the land, and they forced them to work so hard, and 50% of them died working hard. Now the biggest issue begins there. The black people who gave birth to the land, the dad is white. Most of them, the dad is white, but the mom, they're black, which is called negress. Those are they call the light skin, the mulattoes. Those people claim because they were born in the land, they claim that the land belongs to them. That's the issue right now in Haiti. Those called regional bulos, all those people, because they were born in the land from a mom who was black and dad who was white. They proclaim they are from the land, which one of my friends said it before. That's what we call exploitation here. And those who were not born in the land in Haiti, who came from Africa, they also claim that the land belongs to them. Now we have a fight. We have three groups of people fighting against the land: the white, the light skin, and the dark skin. The white people use the light skin against the black skin, and a battle we call Bataille des Couteaux in 1799 to 1800. And those who were involved in that battle was Pétion and Rigaud. Pétion was a light skin. He has to flew to France and ask for help. And he returned from France and to kick out all the black people at that time. But Pétion he received some light and he said, you know what, I'm not going to fight against those black, I'm going to fight against the light skin. And that's the reason why Jacques Dessalines, he won the battle, and we proclaim ourselves to be independence. But I don't call it independence because we paid for it. The reason why, Pétion was the one that started. He gave France $1,500,000, which was the price that France bought Louisiana from the USA. All right? Because he paid for that price, and Pétion died when Boye came, and Boye paid the rest of the money. In 1915, now when the American came in Haiti, because the Americans saw Haitian people have so much relationship with France, they start to break it out. They say, you know what? If we let them have a strong relationship here, they might come back to overpower even Europe, and they stop it. They even removed Germany at that time, 1915. They removed Germany and they removed French, and they rewrite the constitution right now. That's the same thing Jovenel Moïse was trying to do, to rewrite the constitution. That's why he get killed. The same thing the USA gave after he left Haiti, after 1915, he write the constitution, and Jovenel Moïse was trying to do the same thing, he get killed. Just to make it simple, if we really need to do something great, we have to find a way where we can have a mutual understanding between light skin and dark skin and black skin, whatever color you call it. If we try to exclude people, there is no way we can have a mutual understanding.
And see, and to me, just hearing that, it's, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just, it hurts, because it's like, okay, they were slave taken and brought to Haiti, and then those was born here. To me, that's everybody's land who's involved in that situation. Because for me, again, those who were in Africa didn't ask to be there, and yet they were dragged there. But those who were born there was not asked to be born there, but they were born there. Does that make sense? So I'm not going to fight with the brother who came from a different place, who was forced to be here, or me who was born wherever I was born. It doesn't make sense. Like, to me, that's always been an issue for me. But we'll get into that with the other questions about unity. I got so much to say about that, but we'll get into that.
Definitely,
that's a big issue.
Those who are, we'll get to those who are viewing. You got a front row seat into Haitian education, and I want to throw in there real quick before we get ready to transition. We want to give the viewers a chance to get into some questions. Our parents' generation also was not encouraged to push the envelope as much as those who were born here, per se, right? So when my parents talk about Haiti, they talk about when they lived under Duvalier, their biggest thing that they're proud of was the country was peaceful. As long as you didn't have any problems with any makut, that you were okay. You could walk anywhere at night. The country was clean, had structure and order. That's what my parents are going to talk about, right? They never talked to me, and they themselves did not know about France making Haiti pay billions of dollars for 122 years. And Brother Ernst said it well. Pitchon started leading into that, and why he finished it, why he signed the deal, right? And some people
they were light skin. They were light skin also.
Yeah, they were lighter in the south. That's why they're also the bottom of the flag is red. And so a lot of them, what they also have to understand is when France came back the second time around, the French plantation owners were like, years later, 21 years later, are like, wait a minute, we just lost all this money in Haiti. Let's go back and try to reconquer Haiti. Haiti's like, no. But what happened was they had allies this time. At the revolution, Spain hated France. Spanish gave Haitians weapons to fight against France. The Americans, they were sort of worrying about their own things. And then after that, the British had beef with the French. So France was outnumbered and didn't have help. By 1825, when France comes back to sort of blackmail and threaten Haiti, France is now okay with Britain. They're okay with Spain. And those countries still have slavery. So now France is like, hey, we're going to come back and attack Haiti. And if they give us problems, it'll affect you too, because you don't want your slaves to be free. So Haiti, some people say Haiti should have fought back the second time. Some people say, well, they had no choice. We'll never know because the decision was made. But my parents didn't know. They didn't talk about that. And like you said, in 1915, the United States came and took a lot of areas in Latin America and started invest, like they wanted to put their own investments there. They don't talk about that neither. And so the U.S. built the Panama Canal and didn't want anyone touching or getting close to the Panama Canal. Germans had a lot of influence in Haiti at the time, and the Americans were like, we got to get the Germans out of there. And so they got the Germans out of there, and Americans changed rules in Haiti, right? And so the Americans now, they took the gold in Haiti and brought it to the U.S., because they said that Haiti has too much debt because of the France debt. Haiti can't manage their money. Haiti has too many coup d'etats. Haiti has too many issues. So if we don't bring stability to Haiti, someone else is going to take over Haiti. So the U.S. goes in for almost 20 years they're there, but they still, like Brother Lucan said, they still have a say in who we choose as our presidents. They just chose a new prime minister. If you guys were watching the news, there was a fight of who's going to take over and run the show in the meantime of transition. Right? Would it be Joseph? Would it be or would it be Ariel Henry? They chose this guy named Ariel Henry, and most articles say Ariel Henry, who's the prime minister, comes from an Adventist family too, gets the U.S.'s blessing. You can't do anything in Haiti without that. And so I just want to throw this one last thing in before I go to our next question. I want to add this in there too. You guys mentioned a few things about not just outsiders, but inside issues in Haiti. I'm going to say this real quick so that we can transition to our next question. But before we transition, if any of you want to add to that, you can add to that before we go to what next. What do we do, right? What you see in Haiti is most people will tell you about 6 families control Haiti. Okay? They're what you call oligarchs. If you know what the term oligarch is when you have a country that's really controlled by rich families. Yeah. So Haiti is a democratic republic. You vote for leaders to represent you in the Haitian government, just like the U.S. But when you have oligarchs, rich people who have a lot of money, they can corrupt the system. Right? They'll go to a senator and say, man, don't pass that law. Pass a law that will help me not get taxed. And I'll make sure that money that I'm not getting taxed on, you're going to get a nice bank account. How did all these, because like you guys mentioned, I mean, there's no way we're going to get through everything tonight in the conversation because it's just way too much. Haiti is loaded history. But to make it simple, mulattoes dominated, like you said, for many years. But in the late 1800s, early 1900s, many Arabs came to Haiti. The Ottoman Empire fell apart. There was some instability in the Middle East and Southeastern Europe. So Lebanese came first, people from Lebanon. Syrians came after, and Palestinians came even after that. They could not buy land originally in Haiti. The Haitian Constitution originally said only blacks, Africans, people of true Haitian descent own land. So when Germans tried to do business in Haiti, Germans would intermarry into Haitian families. A German man would be like, let me marry a Haitian girl, then we can get land and take it from there, right? Eventually now you have Arabs move to Haiti, and Arabs couldn't own land originally in Haiti. So because they couldn't own land originally, they would do more commerce, buy, sell products, and do a lot of importing and exporting because they couldn't really do farming because they didn't own land. That sort of got them into trade and business and controlling ports, and eventually they rose to the top. They passed the mulat. Like the mulat have like the prestige and position.
That's it.
But when you're talking about the money, the people that run the show in Haiti, who run everything that comes in and out of Haiti, it's the Arabs, the families. They call them the Bigios, the Boulos, the Vub, the Mebs, the Brant. Some of them are not Arab, but most of them are Arab. These guys have all the contracts to build roads in Haiti. They control the supermarkets. They have contracts to get oil in and out of the country. They have contracts for electricity. They have contracts for ports. They control all the ports. So if I control the ports, I control what goes in and out of Haiti, control what's getting taxed and what's not getting taxed. If I want to sneak illegal, people say, why is the U.S. concerned? Listen, if I control the port and you want to get illegal drugs from South America into Haiti and then now get it to Florida or wherever, Haiti's a perfect location. Haiti's location is perfect for a lot of people. So that's why everyone's watching. Anyway, I got to wrap it up to go to this. Give a chance to go to this. But I want people to know, as we're going into the discussion of what happened, just know the president, Jovenel Moïse, cut and was looking to cut these people's contracts. They're like, wait a minute, we've been running the show. We don't get taxed on anything. We make billions. And this guy wants to cut our contracts. He already cut a guy, Vub's contract in 2019. Haiti kept having blackouts. He says, man, you are responsible for the electricity in Haiti. When I went to Haiti, everybody kept saying this thing, Veye courant. because there's so many blackouts. When it comes back in, you better run to the outlet and charge your phone. So he says, if there's all this electricity not working, I got to cut your contract. These guys are not used to getting pushback. They're not used to having contracts cut. And so this president was a threat to them. And so he puts back. He had a lot of people biting from a lot of directions. And these oligarchs who have all the contracts, they can control the media. They control human rights groups that will say, hey, Haiti, they'll pay for a protest, burn things, and then say, look at Haiti. The president, it's unstable. There's protests, and they'll pay for the protests to make it look like human rights records and things. It's a mess. Now, we can spend 10 hours talking about it. But I will just say this, those that are watching, so that we can better understand. Yes. So that we guys see a comment, I'm sorry. That we can better understand why Haiti's in the situation that it is. Haiti's getting outside issues and inside issues. And the oligarchs control a lot. So even us who want to help, we're limited. So I say this. Before we go to our final main question about us, which is a loaded question, and then we're going to jump into our viewers who have really important comments and statements and questions. Now that we know what we know, what do we do with this information that we know, right? How does it change our view of Haiti, knowing the sense is an oligarchy that controls and has their foot on the neck of the people? Foreign interference and interventions corrupt. You want to stay positive, you have to stay positive. How does that affect how we move from here? And then we'll say, we go to our final question, which we'll take our time with, and we'll see what the viewers say, which is, what next? But before we go to what next, with this information that you all shared historically, and all this information, what do we do with this information, guys? How does it affect us?
Here's the funny thing. I feel like, okay, again, I like to always say this, from my perspective, I am not, a politician of any sort. For me, and what I was seeing with the president and what he was doing was, to me, a step of trying to go, hold up, rich people. Hold up. That's not how and I think he was the perfect person for me because he is from Andeo. He's what people would consider the little people. My family is from the Andeo, so you're not known as the proper or the person who's intelligent in any sort. So for him to come in simple minded and go, hold up, this is not working. What? You guys are making all this money and we're here struggling, and no, that's not working out. For him to do those things, yes. He's like, to me, just explain all that. It's like a Martin Luther King situation to me. It's like he put himself in the fire knowing that something might happen. Unfortunately, it did. But the point is, that has to continue to happen. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like we need to find a way to regulate that. Because that just look, I would say this. The reason my mom used to always say this, the reason why you don't see evil in America as much, or is not that you don't see the devil face in America, is because them are one. So they know how to control their evil, if that makes sense. Let's be honest. They sprinkle a little bottom to keep us, busy. It'll be your fafe or something. So the U.S. ain't no better, okay? But for Haiti being who we are and such in the spotlight, it's like it's there. So for me, the corruption, I don't even need to know much about Haiti. I already see the corruption. And for the president to be able to try to at least make something happen, to try to make roads happen, to try to regulate this whole top, richness and all. It's like he's trying to find a way to bridge that gap, and for this to happen, clearly you could tell those people don't want that to happen. Like the top doesn't want it to happen. Right. Clearly, we already know corruption is the reason why the man lost his life. Let's just be very clear. If we don't have many of those people stepping in the same path as the president and actually just trying to find a way to close that gap and to really take back Haiti, I feel like we will never go anywhere. It'll just keep getting worse. Because you're right. They took the place, and they just don't want their power to be threatened in any way. And unfortunately, come on, let's be honest. The gangs didn't just come out of nowhere. Half of you people can't afford it. They say it themselves. I can't afford it. I barely could eat. But then where do you think it come from? It's crazy to me. absolutely crazy to me. And like, I'm just hearing this and I'm still like frustrated because it's like, even if I were to go to Haiti, even if I were to go, like, let's be honest, I'm not going to be welcome because the first thing they're going to see is America across my forehead. I apologize. I might be gearing off the subject, but the thing is, it's like, there's too many hands in the pot. Of course, they stick their hands anywhere. So it's not even just Haiti, okay? They're everywhere, okay? So I'm not even gonna get into America because that's a whole another fight. Jesus is gonna have to kill this situation anyway, and the end of time is coming. But we're not gonna digress on that. But for me, I feel like Haiti have not. We got so hungry with the dollars that we allowed all these hands to just come in and control. And now, unfortunately, like I said, the corruption is so messy. It's not even say Munsa, say Munsa. It's just so messy that I don't know what else. Like, I feel like the president was on his way to do what he was doing, and unfortunately his life ended. And I just feel like we need to continue, and just like Fuesati said, we need some type of revolution. Because I'm with you. Somebody said a revoke. I wouldn't. Somebody revoke my Haitian card. That's all right. That's all right. Because again, I told you I'm the most American one on here. But the whole point is, for me, I just feel like we're gonna have to continue the fight of trying to bridge that gap and just get some type of regulation and just get our country back. I just go on, like I said, go ahead, go real Haitians. Go ahead and tell me what we need to do.
If I may add, the big picture, based on what I'm hearing, is corruption in Haiti, and I think corruption is just kind of like that big giant in the room that's kind of like crippled the country down. In 1969, there's a perfect example. In this little island called Tortuga, Ile de la Tortue, it's in the northern part of Haiti, my hometown. There was a project that was supposed to be done, and the project would cost about $300 billion. That would be sponsored by Gulf. I don't remember the name of it, but it's Gulf Corporation. $300 billion to turn that little island into like a resort that will generate a lot of money for tourism. That project did not go through. You know why? Because so many corrupted politicians, so many corrupted people, they want money on the table. Part of the problem in Haiti, let's say whatever project you have, let's say I have money. I say, you know what, I have a $200 billion project. I have to, do something in Haiti. I have to dedicate at least 60% of that funds just to buy people before I can even start. And I think that's where our problem is coming from. Ford Corporation also, they have a project for Haiti where they were going to build highway, bridges, sewer system in Haiti. But guess what? That project did not go through for the same reason, corruption. And they decided to take that project into Dominican Republic. So we have lost a lot. And I think the problem is a lot deeper. My point of view, okay, that's my point of view. I think, those, the 12 families, six, some people say 6, some people say 12, but those families who have the foot in the neck of the country, they need to be chased out. Until they are there in Haiti, we won't go anywhere, because everything that needs to go through Haiti has to go through them. So they will pay, they will do everything, and they have money. Listen, they will rather pay $100 billion just to buy people for even a small project, because they know, how much money they're gonna make in return. So, and I think this is the time for the diaspora, the people who are concerned about the state of Haiti, to start putting themselves in position where they can help Haiti one way or another. Think about the diaspora send over $2 billion every year, just from transfer, Western Union and CAMS, over $200 billion, over $2 billion every year. So we have a say in what's going on in Haiti. We must have a say. And I think that was part of the reason why you see there was a lot of pushback with Jovenel's agenda. And I was never, a big fan of Jovenel's. But I do recognize that he had a lot of good intention. He had a lot of stuff that he wants to do, but the environment was so corrupt that he would never be able to do even 10% of what he wanted to do because of the environment where he was at. So again, and I think the people in Haiti, the politician, they do not want the diaspora to get involved in what's going on in Haiti. They know that we know better. And that is why they're trying to keep us out of the country as much as they can. They that is why there are so many gangs in Haiti. Those it costs a lot of money. They cannot even afford to buy them.
Yeah.
They cannot afford to buy them. But guess what? They have those big I don't remember how they call them, but even the police department don't have.
Big automatic AK.
It's like a war. It's like a war zone in Haiti. And think about those gang members. I mean, they call them gang members. They don't travel. They can't even go there to the Dominican Republic. So how do they get all those equipment? Someone has to get them for them. And that is why it's extremely important for us to take a look at how, that is why it's important to have this conversation. What's next? What's next? And I think next thing that we need to do is to get the diaspora involved. And it can't be done without that referendum that they were talking about. And that is why this needs to be pushed through. That way we can have a say of what's going on in Haiti.
But I have a question, if you don't mind me asking you guys. I mean, I know this is sad for me to ask that, but would Haiti allow a Haitian American to be president?
So there's there's actually a lot of talk about this, especially in the Constitution. I mean, this Constitution thing is actually really, really, really important. It's funny because historians are saying that because it's only been about 30 years. Essentially, the same people or the same kind of people who were fighting the 1986 Constitution are the same ones or saying the same thing about the 2020 proposed Constitution. That you can't change it. What are we doing? This is foolishness. This is nonsense. It's not going to work. All this nonsense because it's 30 years. They're still here. They're still around. They're still talking, and some of them are still politicians. The truth about it is that Haiti needs a constitution that is for them, that benefits the country. The issue is, so in short, no, they wouldn't allow a Haitian American president. But yes, there are parts of the Constitution that was saying that Haitian Americans will be able to become fully American, and they'll be able to have and be able to buy land, etc. And also, there are other parts of it that says, if you renounce your other nationalities, you can then, go for elected positions. And so there were pathways created for children of the diaspora. So it was in there. But I think the biggest thing I want to underline is, just like Lucanis was saying, is that the entire 200 plus years of our history, or majority of it, the international community has always decided or heavily influenced what we did within our borders. And I think the biggest problem is that we always bend too much to the superpowers. I think if you understand geopolitics, whoever is a superpower around you is going to have a big say in your economy and how you do things. It's just a matter of life. They have power. It's just the way it is. If you're in the Asian, if you're in East Asia, China dictates how you move. We're seeing that now with Taiwan, with Hong Kong, with Southeast Asia. All of that, they're getting involved in India's politics, etc. It's just the way that politics or international, economics works. The issue is we bend too much and we don't leave anything for the people. As Jovenel used to say, "Pa gen anyen ki rete pou ti peuple lan." He always wanted to keep something, les lan se pou peuple lan. He always wanted to keep something for the people. But what happens is we bend too much, give the Americans or the Spanish or the French everything, and not just in negotiation. Arguments come up. Why are we still stuck on French as the primary language? It should be one of the languages. Why the primary? Why? I was watching Johnson Napoleon, down in Florida. I love to watch his stuff. And he's saying, you guys are doing a referendum on the Constitution and you guys write it in French? You guys talk about how you want the diaspora to be a part of it. You want the people to be a part of it, and you write it in French, and it's not available in Creole. I love Haiti. I speak English. I worked hard, and I'm to understand my Creole and my French. I still have difficulty, with the French, and I love Haiti. But you want to do something for Haiti, and you write the most important, paper. Document in French. We have this thing where we're giving too much to the international community. We give too much to them and not enough to ourselves. You want to talk about the failure of Haiti? If you ask me, it's because we lack our own dignity. Period. Our own dignity. Because had we looked out for ourselves the way DR did, had we looked out, love them or hate them, they believed that they were white. They believed that they were better. They believed, and so they acted as if they believed. And guess what? Now their economy is 7-8 times bigger because they believed something and they acted on it. We fail to believe who we are and our own value, and so we always take a backseat. America says bend, we break for them. You know what I mean? But anyways, we need to get back our own dignity, take back what we can, negotiate better, and give everything back to the people. And then things can change.
You said it better than me, honey.
So we're going to have Brother Ernst go.
Yes.
Then we're going to go to some comments that were shared. And then we go to what's our solutions. Great point so far, guys.
Remember, America had our finance for at least 32 years. From 1915 to 1947.
Mm-hmm.
Our finance, USA had it for 32 years. It's not 32 days, 32 years.
Mm-hmm.
What we need to understand, put it this way, and I said it, I'm going to say it again a different way. Remember, they took us from Africa and then enslaved us. And we claim that the land belongs to us. Now they start laughing at us. They say, what do you think they are? We brought them here, and now they want the land for themselves. It's like they feel like they are being betrayed by us. It's the same thing for Jovenel Moïse. They invested in Jovenel Moïse because what's my little thing? They invested in him. One of the slaves, one of the petites malheureuses. You prend their camionette là. The same thing from us. They took us from Africa. They invested in him. Now he stood against him. What did you expect? The same thing they did to the slaves, the same thing they did to Jovenel Moïse. If they always invest in you and you always want to stand against them, you're going to face the same consequence.
Yeah, of course.
Now, what do you do from there?
And that's right. And I think one of the tough things is they bite from a lot of directions. And so, you think about the corruption in Haiti, it's so bad, the money and corruption. FIFA, the World Organization for Soccer, was investigating the Haitian Federation soccer president. The guy they had a system where they were violating young girls in the soccer system in the academies in Haiti. They brought him to court in Haiti. The judges were like, he's innocent. He didn't do anything wrong. A journalist in Britain who can't be controlled by the money in Haiti, sort of was like, nah. And he brought attention to it in FIFA, the World Governing Soccer Organization, did an investigation, and they said the guy's super guilty. I remember reading the comments, and Haitians were like, well, this is how we live. There's no justice. An outside organization had to be the one to step in to get justice for them. In Haiti, people can be bought and sold left and right. Our politicians have houses in the DR, in Belgium, in France. Their kids go to FIU. Their kids go to University of Miami at the expense of our people. And so It's a tough situation. You know, Aristide, and I want to say this: no Haitian president has ever been perfect. So we're not here taking sides.
Here.
We're not the level sitting down and debating. Every Haitian president, maybe you can find some pros, some cons. So even Jovenel, he was trying to cut out his corruption, but again, he wasn't perfect either. Nobody was perfect, right? But he was trying to cut into the corruption. Aristide was overthrown by a coup d'etat by the elite. Aristide now gets rid of the military because they realize in Haitian history, if the mulats or the elites don't like you, they fund the military coup d'etat and they overthrow you. So there's no military. The military is slowly coming back, but they can't really do anything. They also can fund the police. So what makes it tough is you have a lot of people biting from a lot of different directions. So when we think about what we want to do, of how do we go forward, we have to be hopeful, we have to be optimistic, but we also have to be realistic too, right? A lot of just are like, Haiti just needs this. I'm like, you know how Haitian politics works, bro. These guys bite you from this direction, that direction, that. These guys can get you from a lot of directions. As a church, if you want to help, we have to be prayerful. We can't be impulsive and say, well, this is what we're going to do. Haiti is not your local politician. It's not your local council member. It's a different world, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to share a comment I saw from, real quick, as we go to our final question from Justin Pierre and Philomene Jean-Baptiste. I'm going back a little bit. Their responses were along the same path. It's going a little further back. As Justin Pierre says, sovereignty plus unity equals progress. Sovereignty is big. Sovereignty means you have control, and that's what we don't have. Sovereignty put us putting our heads together, not depending on these outsiders or oligarchs who can buy people, right? Philomene says a little bit after that, unless Haitians realize that they are the resources, here we go right here, the resources and assets that Haiti needs, Haiti will always be in destitute. So I say this to put the points of those two viewers together before you guys help us figure out what's next. Haiti, the gangs in Haiti have been used. Like you said, because they don't have money to get the weapons. They don't control the ports where the weapons are being put in. They don't own those ports, right? But now they have weapons and they've been being used. There's a guy watching Haitian news, even American media named Jimmy Barbecue. Jimmy Chili's here today, right? This guy is telling the gangs, we don't agree with everything he says and everything he does, but he said some interesting stuff. He's been admitting guys, and whether he's genuine or not, we'll see. He's calling all the other gangs in Haiti saying, guys, they've been using us. This political group uses you. The other political group uses us. They give us weapons. They pay us to burn tires, destroy the country, and kidnap other opposition territory people to intimidate the other groups. And then at the end of the day, we're not getting anything. I'm telling you right now, I can't trust that the answer will come from the U.S., although we can go to our local representatives and protest and tell them we don't like this and we don't like that. Doesn't mean they'll do it, but we can do it. We can try. I don't think the answer comes from the U.S. I don't know if the answer comes from all of our Haitian politicians, because many of them are bought, and even Haitian media, some of them, not all of them, are bought with the money of these elites, quote unquote. I sense a sense of fear when the people put their head together. See, when the people, the people who have nothing, the pays or whatever, say we're not going to let oligarchs who fund corrupt politicians to give us money to fight each other. It has to be the people at the ground. It's when the Haitian Revolution happened, it wasn't the people at the top who cared. The people at the bottom must make a decision that we're not going to be bought and sold. Because you have the numbers. You have the numbers. But the problem is, it's easy to be bought and sold when you're hungry. If somebody says, I'm going to make sure you have food every night, and I'm going to give you a little something. If you go and attack that opposition neighborhood, and you're starving, you're not going to go do it. You got to have an impressive moral compass to be like, I'm not doing it. as long as those people at the bottom are being used and they're fighting each other for the elites and corrupt politicians who don't care about them, it'll be a revolving cycle. It has to be, and to some extent, maybe there needs to be some policies from the U.S. too, where the U.S. because Einstein would do this thing back in the day, where he spoke to a U.S. diplomat who was in the country, and he said he would try to play chess with the U.S. diplomat. He would say, "Oh, so you don't really like what I want to do?" He said this literally. This book I read. He said, "I can orchestrate something in my country to send boatloads of people to the U.S. Do you want me to send boatloads of people to the U.S.?" And the Americans, if you don't want us to come to your country, stop making policies that destroy our country.
Correct.
You can't make policies that destroy us, and then when we're getting on boats and rafts to come to the U.S., you'd be like, why are they coming here? You're the reason we're coming here, partially. So people realize when you're dealing with the U.S., you have to play chess with them.
Yeah.
You have to let them know, okay, my people are going to come to your country if you keep passing policies that destroy our country. Y'all don't want us to come to your borders? Well, that's what you're going to get if you don't pass a policy that helps my country, right? And at the bottom, the people have to make the difference at the bottom because the oligarchs don't care. The corrupt countries don't care. So with that, what do you say? What do we do next then, right? With God, we know all things are possible. We also know at the same time, we are pilgrims in this world at the same time, but we need to have plans for this world at the same time. Yeah. What do you think we do, guys? And so, and again, whatever you guys have in the chat, let us know. What do we do? What's next?
I think our biggest issue as a nation, we have not taught how to think critically, because we've been taught to take only one way, my way or your way. But in this country here, what I realize, what I've seen so far, there's what we call a win-win. But in our Haitian education, we don't have that win-win mentality. I'm going to give you one example. There's a book that I read. The guy is a black guy. He get hired by a white school to be president. What he did say in the book, he had to buy all the leadership books that talk about white mentality. In order for him to become the president of a white school, he needs to understand the leadership mentality of a white people. That's where he started. And after 10 years, he became one of the best presidents, even though he was president of a white school. And we need to do the same thing. We need to understand the international language, their policy, their mentality, see, the way of doing business. We don't have that mindset. That's why we need you guys. They need me. They need all of us. See, because we can think with them. We can analyze with them. We can process with them. But those who are in Haiti, it's hard for them because they struggle with what? With like bread, because they can't even satisfy their own daily needs. We can do this job. If we're not doing it, I think we fail.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think
next. What do we do next?
Yeah, I think Ernst said something that's like really good. And I started typing it. We don't know how to integrate into the world economy. Like, we don't know how to negotiate aid, how to negotiate investment. We don't know how to create things that's best for the people. I mean, my uncle, my father's older brother, used to work for Baby Doc, right? So my family has always been on the right, and have that sort of like political viewpoint. And his biggest argument was that Haiti no longer has any more statesmen. Like, we don't know how to do things for the people, to defend the people's interest. And we don't know how to create things to make sure that we have, that we win, right? And we're always trying to make accommodations for America and for the foreigners and for everybody, forgetting that Haiti is a sovereign nation. Sovereign means that we have the right to do only what is good for us. We actually don't have to do anything for any other nation. In fact, it is applauded when a country understands that it ought to be selfish. It ought to do what it is to protect its citizens. America, we said all the time, they're overseas defending American interests. It even sounds good, but really, we're overseas doing things to make Americans more rich. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's so Americans can be, can flaunt their history and their power and their military, all of that. Haiti needs to do the same thing. No, we're not going to get the same contracts. No, we don't have the same money. But what we can do is in everything that we do, everything that we negotiate, every paper that we write, every way that we construct our society, we do it in a way that the people win. The people, the mass, the black people, the poor, the ones both in the city and a province, all of them, that Haitians win. And putting out those who try to divide us. I think we have to get back to the basics. And I was watching a Haitian professor, and he was saying that we need to go back to civics, understanding what it means to be a citizen and recreate national pride and identity.
Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think for me, one of the things that we need to change, well, besides cleaning house in the government, is accepting the Haitian Americans. Now, let me say this. This is a personal situation that I would like to say. Number one, the reason why I say that is because ever since I was young, I've always called myself Haitian, period. Never added the Haitian American on top of that. And it's when I got older, towards high school, they were like, well, you were born here, so you're Haitian American. And the reason why that irked me a little bit, the reason why I had issues with that is because laissez-moi espagnol là, ici, fait ici, avec langue, they find a way. You will never hear them say, oh, that's Mexican American.
Correct.
Or whatever the country, Cuban American. Said Mexican, done. Cuban, done. Am I correct? Am I wrong?
It's true.
Si moi yo parle langue maman yo, pas de problem, right? I can fair somewhere, I like my mom. I learned what I can learn. And it's like, oh no, and that hurt. See, automatically to me, you already cut me out of the situation. And then you want to come back to, oh, God, voy on tisonola. And that's how I've always been hurt like that. I've always felt like even if the Haitian American were to go back, what would be accepted as part of the family? And then number two, I was reading Philomen's comment, and he was just like, Haitian Americans will sell Haiti or whatever for a beer. And I feel like that's absolutely not true. If not, we are so educated. And that's why I said the question, when I said, can we have a Haitian American president, was not because of the Constitution was written. I already know that. It's can we make that change?
Yeah.
The reason why I say that is because when Wyclef went back, it was a hot mess. They were like, oh, no. But y'all didn't think twice. Y'all didn't think, okay, well, maybe we might not make him president, but let's see what he can do with the education he got from America and bring it here. Nobody thought about it that way. Mm-hmm. And they said, oh, no, he pas fait ici, or même si they fait ici, y'all make y'all, all that. Yeah, they shut that door. They shut the door just quick. And they never sat down and think, okay, how can we use what he has to make something happen? Trust me, I'm surrounded by a bunch of us Haitian Americans who are successful. And we could have done something because we are hurt every time we hear Haiti in the news, just as much as our parents and our grandparents and our great-grandparents. But unfortunately, we do not feel like we will be accepted or we will even make it for a month over there because those who are over there and their mentality, they see America across our forehead and they see money. That's it. They don't see, well, this person can actually help us. This person can actually be involved in politics and actually see what we need to change. It's none of that. So for me, you accept people of my kind, let me know. Let me know. But I'm sorry, Philomen, if you feel like it's a joke. People you're surrounded by, I apologize that you're surrounded by these people. But I have some really, really good people. And you got to think about it too. Who are we surrounded by with those attitudes?
Yes.
Our mamas and daddies taught us these raggedy and unfortunate type of mentalities. So some of the Haitian Americans are running around And that's what the reason why half of us are jacked up here in America right now. It's because of that. And we get confused when we see one culture is doing a certain way and our culture is doing a certain way. We're like, hold on. Something is not making sense. So I apologize to the Haitian Americans around you are jokes, but not mine. Because my dad go, hold up, mom and dad. We can do something with ourselves. We can actually change if we wanted to. Because that slave mentality, we don't want to keep that. You know, and it's sad to see that you're saying that, because in the end of the day, these are the thing mentality that's going to keep going for generation to generations. I'm trying my best. See, I always tell people I'm faithful, but I'm teaching my 4-year-olds and my 7-year-old. I'm still trying. Let my mom is around. I say, mommy, papa, I'm glad avec you. No, because inside I still actually have love. Surprisingly, I still have love for that country and the culture and the food and how we dress and how we act. And you share a bed. Let's be very honest. Yes. But unfortunately, we have the other side, like those who say, "Oh, we're jokes. We're not worth it." That's the stuff that irks me. If we can accept people like me to come in and assist, maybe just like Luca Santi said, maybe we'll see some type of changes, because we do have a voice and we could really make something happen if we really wanted to.
So real quick, Brother Ernst, you're gonna go go real quick, Brother Ernst, and then Brother Lucanus. Yeah, we're gonna have to bring the thing home because we need a little bit past our time.
Sorry, what I said, still 1 second. You know, Pastor Edwin, you just summarized the whole Asian culture. I don't know. I'm always among pastors, you know. That's the mentality, right? She just summarized the whole Asian mentality. They don't need you. They say, "Can you send $100?" See, is this a mindset the light skin also use against them? They don't need the land. They just need the resources. See, même les gens qui blanc, qui mulat là, qui fait là ou même petit nèg tout fait bagarre là. The issue isn't about dark skin and light skin, guys. Light skin n'a fait même bagarre là. L'utilise les ressources. Les Haïtiens ont besoin de dire you're Americanized, you're not Haitian, but when they need, they ask you for money. It's the same thing. Whether it's light skin, whether it's dark skin, we both have the same mentality. We need to use people. That's all. We use it.
All right. Here's my thought on this. Back in the days when the Israelites were being captured, there was a point when God says, "Let my people go," and I see it as some type of revolution. Listen, let my people go, and if you don't, here's what's going to happen. Now we all know the problems, that we have in Haiti, and that is why I'm really big on the second revolution, because we talk about, we can even talk about unity. It's hard to unite someone who's all the way up there with someone that has no money. It's hard. It's easier to buy the other person. It's easier to make them do what you want them to do for, a piece of bread. But unity, no. Let's be honest. Power should start from the bottom. The power should be to the people. And once the people realize that, you'll see the change. Now, the problem that we have too many crooked people in the political system in Haiti. So all of them will have to be eradicated in order for real change to happen. And this is not easy business. Mm-hmm. It is not easy. Let me give you, a few examples just to put it into context. You decide to buy a 2010, Toyota to send to Haiti right now. About 11 years old car, 11, 15-year-old car, send it to Haiti right now. Let's say you buy it for $5,000. Now you want to send this little car in Haiti. That way, when you get to Haiti, you will be able to do your in and out and so forth. Mm-hmm. It will cost you almost double what you bought it for here. Pour des douanelles pour Haiti. Mm-hmm. Now ask yourself why. The reason why is because those same people who have, their hands in everything in Haiti, they want you to go buy cars from them in Haiti.
Correct.
Let's say here you have money, you want to go ahead and open a dealer in Haiti where you sell cars. You will not be successful for that very same reason. Okay, now let's go back to DR. Any car that's more than 10 or 15 years older, you can't even sell it there. The government won't accept it. The car is too old to drive on the streets. That's when you talk about elevating your standards. In Haiti, you can send any crap in Haiti and it's okay. If you're trying to send something nice, it's not even gonna make it. So you're going to give up in the process because it'll cost you too much money. While in DR, if you send a brand new car to DR, it will cost you almost nothing to get it out to custom. Or if you send an old car, they're gonna ask you so much money in DR that you would just give up because they don't want those things to be in the streets. So it's just to tell you, we need to elevate our standards. And it's not even funny to that in that point because we always been exposed. We know what's right. We know what's good. And that is the reason why they're trying to keep us out from what's going on in Haiti.
Yep.
Now, we asked about what's next. What's next? To me, I think there needs to be some type of revolution. Okay? Revolution meaning let's unite ourselves here. And that is why it's even here in United States, in our community, in our Haitian community, we can't put ourselves together. And that's our problem. A lot of time we're talking about what's going on back home, and we make a big deal out of it. We're here doing panel discussion, but guess what? It's the same thing that's happening in our community. But we do not say anything. And I remember I gave that example here, probably different panel members in a discussion. In my community here down in Florida, Southeastern Conference, we, as a Haitian community, we sent about $5 million to the conference within a year. Okay, within a year. But what do we do for our Haitian community? What could we have done with that money or a portion of that money? And that's exactly what's going on. Now, I don't want to get too political, because that I don't want to cross that line to say, you know what, do we need, a Haitian whatever. That's not what I'm saying. But I think our mentality have to change.
Right.
We have to know how we deal with outsiders, how to deal with foreigners, and to do what's right for our people. And I always use that as example. And I know someone make that point, and I want to piggyback on it. Church needs to do better, and it needs to start here.
Right.
Okay, all of us, we are, we either are pastors or working at some kind of capacity in the church. It needs to start there. Okay, let's take care of the people that we're serving. Let's make sure that all churches, all Haitian churches, they have good restrooms. That way, when our kids go there, they say, you know what, yes, I don't mind going to a Haitian church because I know this church is clean, versus they already know. Once daddy says, you know what, we're going to go to that American church over there, they already know everything is good, everything's going to be good. So our mentality has to change. We need to want the best for our people. Until we can do that, we're not gonna see any real change.
Yeah, that's right. I think you guys, it's a lot. I don't know how we can do this all in one sitting. I mean, we're gonna.
I was just gonna say that. Like, I have to anchor.
Paul is like, it's already. We got to get ready to wrap this up, and we barely scratched.
Listen, we are passionate Haitians.
Yeah,
we can be here all night.
I'm telling you. I mean, really, this was just. I mean, as we're sitting and talking, and I hope the same thing for the viewers. I hope you're getting inspiration sitting at home, because I'm getting inspiration from panelists, and I'm also getting inspiration looking at the comments as well. And there's always something to do. I always say quality over quantity. A lot of people think that if they can't change the whole Haitian political system today, that there's nothing to do. ITF. There's always something
Yes.
to do in
Yes.
some way, shape, or form. Quickly, I'll just say this. One thing that's good is this assassination, although it's a negative light on Haiti, a lot of people are now opening their eyes to, wait, who's really behind this system being so corrupt? And you see a lot of the opposition have been very quiet. They don't quiet, Cunha. Because anything you do or say looks like, okay, well, we're against this system that steps on the people's necks, right?
Yes.
So the assassination is negative, but I think Haitians are, listen, they may not, some of them are educated, some of them are not as educated, but they are sharp.
Yep.
They got street smart.
Yep.
And so even with like what CNN or mainstream American news is putting out, Haitians are like, all right, I see that, but I know there's more to it.
Always.
I see pas sort, yo pas sort.
I see
And
pas
so that the exposure, a lot of things are being exposed now in Haiti right now. It's like literally the system. They're like, wait, why did this happen? Haitians are putting pieces together and saying, oh, we've been bamboozled. So like Brother Lucas said, with the revolution starting, hopefully this exposure makes the ruffles feathers in a good way, that people will say we deserve better and we're not going to be used anymore by corrupt elites, quote unquote. But I also say this, to the point that we made, when it comes to diaspora, Somalia, who is poorer than Haiti, has a lower GDP than Haiti. Somalia has been making some improvements economically because they're letting Somali Americans get involved.
And I'm just tired of hearing we are the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. I'm just, first of all, we're not. That's how I feel. We're not. So let's get rid of that narrative, because it really irks me. And I'm like, well, that's not true. That's not true. But unfortunately,
I think
we keep accepting it. No, I think I cut off. Sorry, but we keep accepting it, and I really hate that. We need to change our mindset and just stand up for ourselves and say that's not who we are. But unfortunately, like all of us has been saying, if we don't change our mindset and the government and all that needs to be involved, like I said, we'll be here forever. It's just not gonna.
Correct.
If people man want you to read that clear comment, he's dying to read it.
I know.
We'll check it out. But But I would say this now. I want to. Fiddleman made another point though that I need about education.
Educations and
listen, and I see Lou Chris said bottom line we need to unite strategically. I agree, because that's where the confusion and predators will come and prey upon our disarray. But education is big. The people, if you don't know the system, how it's working against you, if you don't know how these things work, it's easy for someone to tell you to go burn Kawuchu in the street and you won't think twice. But if you know better, you'll say, no, you can't brainwash me. And that's where it is, right? And so education is big. And where can education start first? Here's 2 ideas I'll give you quickly. In your church, number 1. Every single one of us is part of a church community. Why can't you have these discussions? Why can't you sit down with your young people and say, we're going to talk about how we can help Haiti? Who's stopping us? And let's say you don't have access to the church building. Okay, well, you can use Zoom, conference call. So really, there's no excuse. If we want to educate the people in our church, we don't even need to meet at the building anymore. We can educate them virtually, right? Number 1. Also, we can also educate and support our communities back home. I always say this. Find out where your mother and father or your family comes from in Haiti and support that community, right? So I'll send dooms, I'll send books, I'll send whatever my wife and I will sit down and say, what are we going to send? Every year we sit about, a few times, we'll send things to Haiti, right? We just sent a few things to Haiti last week. And I was in the airport, in JFK Airport, New York. Haitians are still going to Haiti. JetBlue was going to Haiti. It was packed. Haitian qui habillé bois. They're not scared of their country.
Nope.
They were all they all are in Haiti. And so they're going back, they're helping. And so if you don't want to go, you can send something. Support a church or a school or an institution where your family's from.
Yes.
If you don't know, we got a list of them. We can give you a list of a church or organization to support. And that's not even necessarily dealing with the corrupt government. You can send it back to Haiti. Send what you can to donate back to Haiti, right? With your church and your young people, get them together and teach them about Haitian history. Teach them about things. Teach the government as well, because the government don't know, right? And awareness. Once we raise awareness and educate, that's the first step, guys. So what we're doing today, thank you, Charged Up, for organizing this. Now,
Amen.
every single viewer, you have a community that you belong to. I don't care if it's New York, Boston, Jersey, Michigan, Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, Texas, Indiana. Get the people you know. Text, hey, we're gonna have a get together and talk about Haiti. We got a Zoom. Can we use your Zoom? Do your research before you get on and let's start talking. Educate. Now, boom. Does anybody have a connect to Haiti? Do you have a church? Do you have family in Haiti? Can we have a collection? We can meet at my house or your house. We can have some food, have a free thigh, and collect clothes and collect laptops and collect whatever and send it to Haiti. Like, these are not things that take rocket science, guys. Everybody wants to just we gotta go into the government in Haiti and overthrow their desk and then change Haiti. We need that. But before we get there, you can do stuff now. You can do stuff today. And I said this in a meeting we had with our NEC Federation. We had a similar discussion like this. I said, know about orphan. Know about orphan. Orphan can be used any way you want to use it. I have no problem sending however orphan to help something in Haiti anytime. Now, orphan also goes to your church too. So if you do want to see some things in your church.
Yes.
But orphan is how you spend it. Send some stuff to Haiti. Organize something to educate. I really believe the first realistic step that we can take when we're done with this discussion is go back to our respective communities and start educating. And then we educate, start seeing how we can help Haiti, and just by supporting them, by sending things to schools that need help there, or churches, or hospitals. Yes. Guys, we can do that now. We don't have to wait for a perfect scenario to do that. So,
is a question, Ernest, Jacques? You said that you had a website or
it's a YouTube channel.
So if we can post that, because again, just today, I've learned so much as well. I'm always learning, and I always tell people, look, I'm always going to keep learning about Haiti. There's always something new, and I think today was great because you opened my eyes a little bit more on the light skin, dark skin side, because I always had issues on that. But yeah, if you can post that on the Facebook and YouTube Live so that we can have that, or put it somewhere so where whoever comes back can actually see the link, because that's a good way to start right there.
I don't know if you can see that.
We need to support our own. Yes, support our own and the businesses around it.
The chat, and then it's
did you say it?
Yeah, you're not Haiti.
Yes.
All right. So that we can put it in the chat as well too. And this is, people can replay this because once it's on the internet, it's on the internet. So you guys can replay and get that in the chat. But our time is up. We actually went over our time, and honestly, we could have kept going, but we want to respect your time. It's late. Some of you guys have to go to work tomorrow morning. And so first, I want to shout out to Charged Up Ministries and Pastor Pierre and the tech team for organizing this. Shout out to Sister Edwin, Brother Joshua, Brother Ernst, Brother Lucanes. All your perspectives and your views were needed tonight, because somebody in the chat understood or had a question or a thought, and maybe beyond than what we could have had tonight. So we got to keep this going. Bring this to your own local communities, right? Start educating, find a connect to your communities where your family's from in Haiti. If you don't have family left there, find a friend who has family in Haiti. Find out what you can support. My mom is the last person in her immediate family to leave Haiti. My dad has family in Haiti, so I'm in communication with them. So a lot of the things I do, I help my wife's family. My wife has a lot of family in Haiti, so we'll help communicate with them. We'll send goods to her city where her family.
Joshua.
So let's do that. We're gonna get ready to wrap it up. I'm gonna ask Elder Lucanis if you can give us a closing prayer, and then we're gonna have to keep this going. All right, guys, bring this conversation to your local church, community. Find something, an institution in Haiti that you need help with, and let's start walking the walk. Go ahead, brother. You can close us out.
All right, let's bow our heads for prayer. Éternel notre Dieu, notre Père, nous disons merci pour grâce et faveur que vous faites nous, pour te permettre que nous passions un bon petit temps pour nous discuter et sur situation haïtienne. We thank you for that. We thank you for every member of the panel. We thank you for the knowledge that you have given each one of us in order to do this. We pray that you would take control over our thought, take control over everything that we have. That way we can continue to serve you and to serve you better. After the discussion, we pray that you would bless the ministry of Pastor Pierre, who were able to put this together. The community is suffering. Our Haitian brothers and sisters, they are suffering, but we know that you say it in your words. If my people who pray, they seek your face, not only that you bless them, but you will also heal all land. We believe in that. We know that you can heal all lands. I pray in Jesus' name, amen.
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 Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. Thank you, guys.
Lift him up, lift him up, lift him up, lift him up, lift him up. Say, Yahweh, Yahweh, Yahweh. Don't look at the problem anymore. Lift up Yahweh, Yahweh. His name is Yahweh. 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 My God is Yahweh. Yahweh. Free worship. Vous n'y allez fort, dissolvez. Yahweh, Papa, bon Dieu, Sami, Jésus, c'est toute bagarre pour moi. La paix, la joie, la vie, c'est lui qui force. Oh, moi, oh, alléluia. L'aime centime triste, c'est lui chercher. S'il battait là, sa peine, la peine, l'aime sentir triste, lui fait moins gai, lui rêve, chantez Yahweh, Yahweh. camper devant